Yeah. Why is that fair? Well, it's an interesting question. Steve Williams, we're eventually gonna have to grab. I don't know if you volunteer like that. Oh, I don't know. I'll wait until at least Wyoming is done with theirs. We'll see how they handle it. It's a good chair, guys.
Right on time. I'm
Holly just had.
Come on, it'll be.
I know, we're just not sure that it. Right now, the current says right now. You watch it in NWC. Meeting.
Hey, maybe.
Yeah, because this is. How are you?
They should.
Never had it.
All right, we will go ahead and get started. I love the capacity crowd. Thank you everybody for coming. Welcome to the regular Board of Trustees meeting dated today, November 20th, 2024. I would first off say congratulations to all the trustees on your reelection and proud to get to serve with you again. And to Ellis sitting in the crowd, thank you for willing to throw your hat in the ring and joining us next month. So we'll get to Allison later and deal with her. That might be lengthy. Yeah, but thank you. So as your last meeting, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ellie, we do have a quorum. No, I said. If everybody would look at the agenda, if there's any additions to the, or deletions to the agenda. If not, then I would entertain a motion.
Chair McGrath, I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented for today.
Second. So it's been moved by trustee Wassenberger and seconded by trustee Williams to approve the agenda for the regular Board of Trustees meeting today on Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Approval of the consent agenda. If there's anything that anybody would like to pull off, or if we're good to go forward with it in its current condition.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. It's been moved by trustee Key and seconded by trustee Smith to approve the consent agenda for the regular Board of Trustees meeting held today on Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to the good of the district. Dr. Oberlander.
Chair McGrath and trustees, this is always a fun point in our meeting where we get to recognize outstanding members of our campus community. I am excited before we get to our of the month folks. We learned through trustee Anderson that our very own Casey Sellers was recognized as a Wrangler 30 under 30. And Ellie's going to pull up her picture, but Casey's with us. Is that Casey? Can you come to the podium? So the Wrangler 30 under 30, there's a selection of 30 women in the agriculture field, rodeo field, who are selected. I'm not sure what the nomination process was. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and your selection, but we're just so proud of Casey Sellers, who does phenomenal work for the Gillette College Rodeo team and is a member of our ag community. And there's her picture and her write-up that's published with this Wrangler 30 of 30. So Casey, congratulations.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit more about this recognition and what the next steps are. You have to come closer to the mic.
You guys are. So thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it. So I actually just learned about this not too many days ago, but one of the kids that I coached when I was at UW actually nominated me for this. And once I got like through the first stages, then I had to submit some essays and stuff to that tune, but it's an honor to be amongst some great alumni and a great class of 2025 of women in the Western industry who are making leaps and bounds forward. So thank you guys so much for all of your support and for the podium that you allowed me to be on to be recognized. So thank you.
All right, isn't there a conference or something that you're part of?
Yeah, so I believe the first,
Go to the podium.
back to the podium. The first part of April, I'll go to Arlington for a long weekend and they have this is my first, so I'll let you know, April 14th. But sounds like there's a big banquet and kind of a gala to recognize the class. And there's a handful of sponsors that are part of the program and donate to the recipients. Some of that too, but it's a pretty cool deal, I think.
Absolutely. And if you attend the rodeo banquet, typically Casey's the one that calls you to get you to buy a ticket or a table, or she's really the one that spearheads that whole rodeo banquet. So thank you for that. Well done.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Chair McGrath, trustees, onward to our recognitions of our faculty, staff, and students of the month. And to start us off, Dean Travis Grubb is here to recognize faculty from our current technical education, a very well-deserving faculty recognition. So Dean Grubb.
Chair McGrath, trustees, thank you for having me today. Today, I'm honored to recognize Tony Geis. He is our machine tool technology faculty. Tony is also an alumni from Gillette College in our machine tool program. He has taught for Gillette College since 2018. And with his time here, he's grown the machine tool program, updated the machine tool equipment. And one of his biggest accomplishments is growing and strengthening our machine tool advisory committee that's built with local industry supporters. In addition to teaching machine tool technology courses, he also advises our machine tool club, which is very strong on campus, and is our main advisor for Skills USA. And as you can recall, we've had quite a lot of success with Skills USA over the years. So with all those activities, Tony's one of our most dedicated faculty members on campus. He's always willing to step up and help with events and activities. He's always building cool little trinkets and things to hand out just to promote and promote his program and the trade of machine tool technology, especially if there's ice cream involved. If Tony's hosting an event, you can almost guarantee you're going to get a sweet treat at the end. So with that, he's also one of the first employees to show up in the morning and almost always the last one to leave. And with that, I'd just like to honor Tony Geis.
I don't have a speech. Any questions?
Any questions from the trustees?
How long you been here, Toby?
In Gillette or in the college?
Well, both.
Well, in Gillette, all my life except for 2 years. I was in Minnesota for 2 years at a pattern and mold shop to learn more about the trades. I've been back since 2018. I actually helped start the program in 2015 and took the courses at that time.
And what's your enrollment now?
I have 7 first years and 7 second. And we do have the cap set at 6 now because we only have 6 of each machine. And industry wants students to have machine time and hands-on experience.
That's great. Well done. What do you find is the most rewarding part of your job?
With the ice cream. No, of course, it's the students, the involvement with the students and getting to watch them progress and see that light in their eyes when they actually get it. And it's just the whole life experience, even when they're non-traditional students, it's almost as if they were still in high school because it's a brand new experience for them.
Thank you.
Watching the growth is always nice.
Any other questions?
Chair McGrath, I would just add that Tony was the first President Circle of Excellence Faculty Member of the Year recipient 2 years ago. And so he was the first to carry the mace at commencement. He was the first to carry the mace at convocation. And so he is very well respected and very well deserving of this recognition. So thank you for all you do for us.
Thank you, Chris.
Tony, thank you for everything you do. I appreciate all your longevity of the institution and what you've brought to us.
Appreciate it. It's all right. I'm gonna go back to teaching.
Yes, sir.
Probably more fun.
Chair McGrath, trustees, up next is our Staff of the Month recognition, and Vice President of Administrative Services Larson will be here to recognize Tracy Ritchie. Tracy is the first technician at Gillette Community College District and has done such a phenomenal job. So
Yep, Tracy has, good afternoon, Chair McGrath and trustees. Tracy Ritchie is our payroll person and she reports directly to Samantha Rankin. So I thought I'd ask Sam to put them together and explain why Tracy is so wonderful and why she's staff member of the month. So go ahead.
So thank you, Chair McGrath and trustees. I'm really excited to introduce you all to Tracy, our senior payroll specialist. When she started here at Gillette, just over 2 years ago, we had QuickBooks and paper. So everything was submitted through paper timesheets, paper time off requests, paper. So everything was manually keyed in, everything. Since then, we have more than tripled our staff and faculty. So hand keying is, that's a lot of work, a lot of room for error. And we have implemented some really awesome tools that we continue to work on. But so today we're 100% using Colleague. So we're no longer using QuickBooks at all for payroll, which is awesome. We have an electronic timekeeping system that we just implemented that all hourly employees are using now. And that is called Kronos. And then we also have an online platform called Self-Service through Colleague, where staff and faculty can access all of their current and historical pay information. They can check their PTO balances, and they can even submit time off requests electronically. So all of this flows directly into payroll. Tracy has been and continues to be an integral part of all of these implementations and achievements, from the installations to the data migrations, configurations, testing and validating, and even end user training. And we've had some roadblocks. It's been it's been a process, but despite all of those and all the countless hours dedicated to these implementations, Tracy's performance has never once faltered. She's not only kept such a positive work attitude, but she has worked so diligently to maintain all regulatory filings. And she has ensured that every single one of our payrolls is submitted not only accurately, but on time. So it's a lot more work than most people think. And in my personal opinion, her dedication, her expertise, and her willingness to learn and grow with Gillette College is what makes her such a vital asset to our institution. And we're very fortunate to have her. So with that, I would open the floor to any questions you might have for Tracy.
Thank you. I just feel really honored to even be appreciated. So really great. It's been a lot of work. We're going through a bunch of different systems. Maybe we're getting closer and closer to no paper timesheets. I'm so excited. So now we're just learning to punch in and punch out, and it's just great. So thanks. I appreciate it.
Questions from the trustee?
I just know how important it is to have accurate reporting for payroll and how important it is to our employees that they are accurately and timely paid. So thank you for your resiliency and flexibility in helping us get from where we started to where we're headed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. So if I don't do my job, everybody notices that they didn't.
That's what I was gonna say, Mr. Chairman. Tracy, you're in one of those positions where if it doesn't work, you know right away. So thank you for all that you do.
Yeah,
But thank you for keeping it on track for everybody. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Chair McGrath. So Tracy, I'm curious, do you remember when we went through your interview process? And I said, you're going to build this system?
Mhm.
When you got here, what did you think?
I wasn't quite sure what that exactly meant, but now I'm like, I do get it. Yes.
And so who was one of the last adopters to stop using timesheets for vacation and payroll?
You.
Tracy had to show me and she had to teach me. And so now none of my team that reports to me has to have me sign their paper timesheets. I was a late adopter. It's true. But the work you have done truly has been phenomenal because all the benefits, there's codes for all those different benefits. She had to keep manual track of that in the beginning. And then she wanted to go on vacation and we went, you want to go on vacation? Wait, who's going to do your job? So her role was just so integral and she's done such a phenomenal job, even through all the change. And so thank you so much for all that you do for us. So.
Well, my question is always about the same. Give us a little bit of your background, where you from, Robin?
I'm originally here from Gillette. I grew up here and I graduated here. I'm married and I have 2 kids. They're both drivers in high school, so watch out on the road on your basin. That's about it, really. And before I worked at the college 2.5 years ago, I worked part-time for an explosives company and I did their payroll and books for them.
Excellent. Well, thank you for all that you do and all you've done. And as everybody has said, continue to build this system and get us in the right place. So thank you.
Great job.
Chair McGrath, trustees, we are so thrilled to have our Student of the Month recognition for November. Dean Lindsay Wakefield is here along with Instructor Wolford to do the introduction. So please.
Do you introduce me? I'm like, okay, you got this. All right.
Yes. All right. I'm truly honored to stand before you today and share why I nominated Kayla for the Student Spotlight Award. From our very first meeting in August, I knew that Kayla was special. During her first advising appointment, she radiated excitement about joining Gillette College. She had heard wonderful things about our program and was fully aware that nursing school would be one of the most challenging journeys that she would undertake. Yet instead of apprehension, she exuded enthusiasm and a willingness to embrace the challenge as an opportunity for growth. As she left my office, Kayla shared a thought that stuck with me. She couldn't wait to meet the person that she would become in 2 years. That simple statement filled me with optimism and pride, knowing that a student with such a positive outlook was embarking on this journey. After she left, I couldn't help but smile. If Kayla could bring such joy and positivity to our first encounter, I knew that she would be a blessing to her future patients. Her impact goes beyond just our meetings. Kayla brings immense joy to her instructors and peers alike. She has a natural ability to uplift those around her. For instance, during a challenging clinical day, her clinical instructor overheard her peers asking one another, how would Kayla handle this? And what good can we find from this situation? This shows that she is not only a source of positivity, but also a role model for her classmates. Faculty members consistently note how Kayla comes to class with a smile, ready to engage and contribute. Her active participation in classroom discussions and her involvement in extracurriculars, such as the nursing club, demonstrate her commitment to both her education and also her peers. She embodies the spirit of collaboration and support. Kayla is not just a remarkable student, she is a beacon of positivity and a source of inspiration for all of us. I am proud to nominate her for the Student Spotlight Award and excited to see the incredible nurse that she will become. Thanks.
What do you have to say?
I wasn't expecting all of that.
I know, I teared up while I was reading it. I'm so proud of you.
Keep together because I see this is recorded. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's really nice to be recognized for kindness in this world. And so I really do appreciate it.
Give us a little bit of your background.
So before
I need to step in front of. I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Before coming to Gillette College, I was actually in oil and gas as a project assistant, and I decided that I couldn't stand sitting in a little office cubicle every day, and I needed to be around people. I'm originally from upstate New York. The cool part, I promise, we were farm country New York before relocating to Buffalo. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
Not everything upstate was cool in New York.
This time of the year.
You're not a Yankees fan, are you?
I don't do sports.
He now has nothing to talk about.
Trustee Westbrook.
You ought to work on it.
So Kayla, oh, tell us about your future. I mean, you're not gonna hurt my feelings if you say you love maternal child nursing or something along that line, but.
No, so I mean, that's one of the major questions that you're always asked when you start nursing school, right? What specialty do you want to be in? What do you want to do? And I honestly don't know. I think that nursing school is such a incredible time in our career as future nurses because we get to kind of see little glimpses and pieces of every different specialty and every different unit. So planning on using that to the best of my ability to kind of determine what it is that I truly want to do long term. But I don't know.
Do you see yourself staying locally or have you made?
Yeah, so I mean, Buffalo is our home. We live like right outside of Buffalo. So we're almost equally in distance between Sheridan and here. But I think it's for our forever home. That's my hope at least, because Wyoming is awesome until -50 degrees comes in. Yeah, that's the plan.
Good question. Well, thank you. I love the, you bringing kindness to a world that always needs it. I think that's very commendable and, I look forward to your pinning. That was one of the neatest things that I've been a part of every year. So to the nursing, I mean, it truly is an exceptional program and thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Mhm.
All right, that was exceptional. Thank you to everybody. Moving on to good news from the trustees. Trustees, any good news?
Well, I have a granddaughter that is turning 5 today. So that's
Happy
pretty special.
birthday.
Her name is Gwyneth Drew. So happy birthday to Gwenny.
Okay. Any other good news?
I don't know if it's good news. I have a husband that's about ready to get his cataract removed in, I don't know, 20 minutes or so.
Oh, all right. Who's driving home?
Well, I may be driving home, but, my son was excited to say that he could take, sick leave to take his dad to the surgery center.
Good for him. I would add my daughter was voted to the all-state team as a junior in volleyball as a you would say it libero, won't say libero, but proper pronunciation is libero. So very excited. For her. Thank you.
And she also held the state record for the most.
State record. She was #1 in digs for the state.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
#1 in digs. Yeah, very excited.
Yep, that was very nice.
It's important for a Libra.
Yes. Any other good news? Okay, moving on, organizational reports, President Oberlander.
Chair McGrath and trustees, we have a lot happening at this time of the year. It's the end of the semester and a lot of moving parts, as you know, as we work on this strenuous lift to reach accreditation. I thought we'd add a new word as we enter a new era. So I want to focus on two things for my report today. I want to talk to you about the Enzi building and I want to talk to you about where we're at in our accreditation journey. So let's start with the Enzi building, and I apologize in advance to Trustee Palmer for the 7 a.m. meeting tomorrow morning. We'll begin this work tomorrow morning with the executive steering committee, the executive committee, who will meet bi-weekly through the duration of the conceptual design project. That's a 7 a.m. meeting Thursday mornings. And again, I apologize, trustee.
Is it a Zoom meeting?
It's a Zoom meeting, sir. It is. And so then the following day, the design committee will meet. And that will be an in-person meeting here on campus. And so the executive committee is made up of those trustees and our community members who were part of the original selection of the architectural group of MOA. That contract will be signed at the end of this meeting, or by the end of today, we'll have that contract wrapped up and signed. The design committee will meet again every other week through, no, they'll meet once a month through probably late February, beginning of March. We are working on finding a way and the best way to bring students into the conversation. That's important. We'll need their feedback. And also at the right time when we bring Diana, Mrs. Enzi into the conversation, also very important. We will get public input probably late February, and then in March, we'll do some sort of an open house to showcase the conceptual designs of the Enzi build. There's a lot of excitement for this building as we talk to our industry partners, as we talk to people in the community and people we work with to see what's going to happen. We've had conversations with businesses who are looking to relocate to Gillette and learning about their needs and what they will need for workforce development. So we're really looking forward to this kicking off, which begins tomorrow morning. And so that'll be an exciting piece. And we'll, of course, continue to give you an update at every meeting. And as conceptual designs start to unfold, we'll certainly make sure you all get the opportunity to preview. Are there any questions about where we're at with the NC building at this point?
Are we gonna have the school district involved?
We certainly can, trustee, when we get a little bit further down the road. Part of that stakeholder and community input will be important, as well as our industry partners. Their feedback is also going to be very important as we move through this process. Any other questions? All right.
Join the 7 a.m. meetings.
Moving on to accreditation. And so we've spent the last 2 days working, well, actually about the last month working with consultants. We, of course, as you know, on the eligibility filing, had a seasoned, as Roger Humphrey would call a varsity team, HLC peer reviewer, who is actually recognized, highly regarded by Dr. Andrew Lutens White. And so she went through the eligibility filing, looked for gaps, looked for places where maybe we were missing information. And by and large, it came back with very few revisions. She had positive things to say about the data, the 4,000 pages of evidence that have been submitted. We are currently then taking that information. Trustee Anderson provided a few more edits this morning. As you know, the Higher Learning Commission made changes to their eligibility filing process and also to the criteria. Well, the eligibility new application dropped this morning, and so that is now open. So what's happening is all the information that was in the old application is, as I speak, being transferred into the new application. Should not be any substantive changes, should not be any changes with the questions. Nicole Wolf deserves some brand recognition when this process is complete, because she has been responsible for the input of all the information that's been coming in, tying it, making sure it's in the format that the Higher Learning Commission needs. So you will later in the meeting endorse that application. Because you took action earlier in 2022 to approve that we pursue institutional accreditation. No formal action is required, but we're asking you to endorse the eligibility application. Once that's done, once we're satisfied with the application and how it looks and everything works and the evidence is connected, we'll hit the submit button. Dr. Andrew Lutens White met with Dr. Spriggs and I late last week, stepped through. He's aware that that filing is coming. It will be submitted now because it's open today. It'll be submitted no later than December 2nd. Of course, next week is Thanksgiving. That gives us about another week to finalize everything, no later than December 2nd. On Monday and Tuesday of this week, Dr. Jennifer Miller, who is also an HLC peer reviewer with extensive experience in assessment, with extensive experience in program review process, but also as a peer reviewer, spent yesterday and Monday with the vice presidents, myself, and our academic deans. And we spent time going through a deep dive of the criteria, the new criteria, as well as required evidence. Then we shifted focus to criterion 3, which is teaching and learning, which has a heavy emphasis on program assessment and program review. And really spent yesterday laying out what that was going to look for the Gillette Community College District. And so in between now and January, what the deans will be working on is standing up a new form. They'll be selecting some pilot programs to go through this initial program review. Right now, program reviews with the Northern Wyoming Community College District happen on a yearly basis. So we will likely make a shift to make those program reviews on a cycle that happen every 3 to 5 years. We'll have to determine if we want to do 3 or 5. Then in between that time period, there's a lot of assessment that happens with the curriculum, with the learning outcomes. And all of that information in between those bookends gets collected to culminate into that program review, that bigger document, along with data that's collected throughout that time period. So the deans are charged with getting that process ready. So when Dr. Miller comes back in January, she'll start working with our faculty and again, continue to work with our deans to ensure that process rolls smoothly. The other piece that has to happen is we know we have some policy gaps. And so Dr. Spriggs is now charged with looking at what those policies are. We identified several. He will create those policies. The governance committee of this board will meet in early January to review those. And then you'll have probably several, I'm going to say 10 to 15 policies in January to review on first read. After first read, we'll take it to district council. The deans will make sure that faculty get the opportunity to review because we want to make sure those policies are in place. The last thing that we did yesterday is we looked at what's next, right? This is a big milestone to do this eligibility filing. But now the next significant lift, hope you like the new word, significant lift, becomes candidacy and initial accreditation. And so what you have in front of you, and the vice presidents nor the deans have seen this yet, so this is a draft, please consider it a draft of the next dates and milestones. And so as it today, you'll see it starts with today. You'll endorse the eligibility filing. It'll be submitted no later than December 2nd. And then in February, HLC has 30 days to review that filing. And then they'll send us a letter back. We anticipate receiving that in early February. Dr. White believes our timing is good because it's December. The reviewers will be on vacation. They'll be away from their campuses. So potentially could get that reviewed a little bit faster. But we'll just say we're going to receive our letter from HLC in early February. We will then very quickly turn around and start moving into the candidacy and initial accreditation process. So the first step there, of course, is we have to submit our letter of intent to pursue candidacy. And each one of these stages when we submit comes with a price tag, right? So the letter of intent to pursue candidate goes in with a $6,000 check. Then we begin the comprehensive evaluation process. This part of this is already done, right? So as I'm looking at the comprehensive evaluation, we have to submit an institutional data form. We have to do our compliance with eligibility, which is what we're doing right now. Compliance with assumed practice. Vice President Larson and I will begin an audit on that in the coming days. I think we have our first meeting early or late this week yet. The federal compliance, which you all are aware, we have been practicing federal compliance since we initiated this process. And then we will have an on-site comprehensive evaluation to assure that we have the capacity to meet accreditation. We anticipate this happening potentially in May. We'll request our candidacy comprehensive evaluation, May of 2025. We anticipate potentially having our first comprehensive evaluation in November of 25. This is a very aggressive timeline. And if you look at the deans and the vice president's faces right now, they're probably going to be saying, we already talked about how this is a fast timeline and it's an aggressive timeline. The thing that's really important for you to know is once our applications leave our hands, it's out of our hands. We have to wait on the higher learning commission. And if there's anything within the eligibility application that the higher learning commission comes back and says, you have a gap, you have to resubmit information. So these are all anticipated. If you flip the paper over, you'll notice that part of after the comprehensive on-site visit, Dr. Spriggs and I get to take a trip to Chicago to have an in-person interview with the Institutional Actions Council meeting. That's an in-person meeting with the Higher Learning Commission to review the application, to review our candidacy status. They then have to take their recommendation to the Higher Learning Commission Board of Trustees. The Institutional Action Committee meets every month. The Board of Trustees only meets quarterly. So our timing has to line up. So that's why we're watching this very closely to make sure as we're submitting, can we meet the timelines? Okay. Once we get through that process, then we start then we get to say we're in candidacy and we start towards the eligibility application or the actual institutional accreditation, the initial accreditation. There is a step in between candidacy and accreditation called a biennial evaluation, which can happen in between. We would really, really like to skip that, which we can if we request early initial accreditation. In order to hit that mark, we have to meet every criteria, every assumed practice, every federal compliance with no exception. It has to be met. So with criteria, you can either not meet it, meet with concern, or it's met. They have to be met in order for us to hit initial accreditation. So we will likely, as we get ready to go into this candidacy onsite evaluation, we'll likely do a mock peer review. Again, working with HLC peer reviewers to look at our information so they can say, you're either right on target, keep going, or take a step back and make sure this is all cleaned up.
Sorry.
No, please.
Thank you. Is this the early candidacy that we had talked about early on with Sheridan College?
Early on in this process, I'm sorry, Chair McGrath, Trustee Gee, early on, we talked about organizational change, governance change.
This is not
This
that.
is not that.
Okay.
This
Thank
is not
you.
that. So there's a lot that has to happen. What you don't see on this paper is our work with the U.S. Department of Education. We now have engaged with our liaison with the U.S. Department of Education. What has to happen, and it can't happen until we're awarded candidacy, is that we obtain our OPEID number, we stand up our federal financial aid processes, right? That we can become Title IV eligible to disperse student loans, to disperse Pell Grants, that whole process. However, we currently have an OPEID number that's dormant because we are listed as a branch campus under the Northern Wyoming Community College District. I have asked Dr. Spriggs to work with our Director of Financial Aid to find out what it will take to make that OPEID number live. That will have to come with partnership through the Northern Wyoming Community College District because we'll have to have access to the clearinghouse, which monitors enrollment for student loans, and also the NSLDS system, which again, it all ties into the student loans. So you don't see the U.S. Department of Education process listed on this page. And again, we can do all of our work and we can submit, and then we might have to have a waiting period to wait for the Higher Learning Commission. But we really want to pay attention to when those Board of Trustee meetings are, because we don't want to sit and wait for 6 months or 4 months for that next meeting. So a lot of information. This is a draft. This is a draft. We'll go through and we'll make sure we have it cleaned up. We'll compare some dates. Maggie will update it and she'll make sure it's updated on the website. We'll review this document with the Dean's Council in early December. I'll get them calmed down.
It's a living document.
It's a living document, yes. We'll also in early December finalize and set the steering committee and the criterion chairs. That's the group who really drives this process. The steering committee chair will be the person who checks to make sure we're hitting the milestone. The deans will serve as criterion chair or co-chairs. They're the ones who are getting the rest of the campus involved. They're the ones who are making sure we're collecting the evidence, that the evidence is getting uploaded into the canopy system. Is that what HLC is switching to? Right now it's called the assurance system. Making sure that our assess committee chair, who we'll hear from later, and our curriculum committee, that their processes and their policies are lock solid, and we're practicing those. So this is the next iteration. I wish we could move much, much faster, but we have to go through the steps. Otherwise we'll end up back at the beginning. So.
How much point was the HLC group come to the campus and go through their processes?
Chair McGrath, trustees, Trustee Williams. So you'll see in the comprehensive evaluation, in the candidacy, comprehensive evaluation for candidacy and related decision-making. They could come on site. I would suspect they will come on site during that portion, or they could do an in-paper review, meaning they're looking at all of our evidence, but likely they'll come to campus at that point. And then they'll also do another visit for the initial candidacy. That's a comprehensive visit when they come for that.
Any other questions for Dr. Oberlander regarding this?
If I may, Chair McGrath.
Please.
What impact, if any, does the Wyoming Community College district have, or not district, but what impact do they have on this process for us, or assistance, or just mentoring, oversight, assisting?
Chair McGrath, Trustee Walter, so we update the Wyoming Community College Commission on a regular basis. So one of the pieces that I very much worked with Dr. Caldwell on when she was the executive director. Of course, with those initial, the initial negotiations we went through, also the timelines of where we're going to be and at what phase. And now as we move into this next phase, Dr. Mortz, who is now the executive director, will have to help us. We could have to do a little bit more negotiation with NWCCD. We may have to, because of potentially this OPEID number. But really, he is all about helping me find state statutes that tie to anything that we do. Really, it's that oversight. So we're updating them. In fact, he's asked for another update on our IT systems because we've separated more and more of our IT systems away. As of yesterday, our door migration system is now owned and operated by the Gillette Community College District. You can thank Renee and her team. That was a hard migration. And so, but they very much are oversights. And then, of course, as we look at what curriculum we want and new programs, Dr. Spriggs takes that all the way up, as all the other colleges do, through the appropriate process with the Wyoming Community College Commission.
I did see in the documents that you had sent out for this process, a lot of citing of the Wyoming state statute throughout that document. So.
And trustee, there have been times when we've had to have the AG who represents the Wyoming Community College Commission, we've had to have the AG Mackenzie take a look at some of that. And of course, legal counsel has helped with some of that as well.
Thank you.
Questions? Yes.
Comment that once again, I want to thank everyone who has worked so hard on all of this. Looking at that initial filing documents were really impressive. 97 pages on one, 25 on another, and then over 3,000 on the evidence. It's been a lot of work, and we certainly appreciate everything that everyone has done to help get to this point. Thank you, trustee. And Chair McGrath, I think what's really exciting is this phase that we're in right now, is we begin to own everything that we're doing. Because we've implemented so much of what our partners at Northern Wyoming Community College District have done. And now we begin to take that foundation and we begin to transition it, and we begin to own it as our own and make it fit for this community college district. And so this is a really exciting phase. And so I agree with trustee Anderson. Boy, there's been a lot of work done. We don't celebrate as much as we do, but we are going to celebrate the eligibility filing here in December. On December 4th, we'll have a campus gathering and thank those and start laying out these next phases. So.
So the only thing that I would add is that I think there's been some comments made. I think from some that ran, some that are running for other offices, of the efficiency of which the accreditation process has been going. And I think from anybody on this board, it's very frustrating to know when you're talking over 3,300 pages of work and the comments from HLC and some of these peer reviewers that have been made to those in this crowd and you, Dr. Overlander, of how efficient and how much progress they're amazed on a daily basis that we make. I would like that to be known. I think that is commendable, much like trustee Anderson said. If anybody has questions about the accreditation process, you're welcome to pick up the phone and call a trustee or to call the administration. And I think that you'll get maybe more than you bargained for, but they are moving this along. I think at a fast rate. None of us moves as fast as we would like it to go because we'd like to be on our own, but it's moved faster than I think anybody can imagine. So thank you for that.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. That will conclude my report unless you have questions for me. That is a lot of information to take in. So happy to answer any more questions.
Can we give you a hand?
You can give this guy.
Again, there'll be a nice celebration hopefully here in a short period of time.
Yes, absolutely.
Gillette College Advisory Board, Chair Angie Loxo.
Chair McGrath, trustees. So this last month, Rusty Bell from the Office of Economic Transformation came and talked to us because there's a lot of exciting things going on in Gillette. So there are numerous large projects in various stages of development. The most prominent being Project Mammoth. This is a company looking to expand to the US.
I won't push at the same time.
Um, They're a company looking to expand in the US and they use coal and other minerals that we have to make products. This would add 700 to 1,000 jobs in our community. We are preparing for siting of test facilities and still shipping some of our resources to them for testing. They would need a large amount of power, which we also have. A friendly business structure and skilled workforce also fits their needs, which we have. Many of the programs the college offers fit well with the employment they would be looking for. Most of the projects that they're looking at as far as the economic transformation will fit very well with the programs that Gillette College already has. Welding, industrial, electrical, diesel technology, machining, and CDL would be a valuable asset to training the workforce for these jobs. Some of the areas that we see growth in are materials handling and testing, whether those materials are solid, liquid, or gas. Examples would be coal, uranium, ash, carbon products, liquid and solid, and CO2. The other area that we are experiencing a large volume of work in recent weeks is data centers and artificial intelligence, AI. We have energy and land available in the Powder River Basin and could be a very good host site for the technologies that will have difficulty locating in high population areas. I do not know what Rusty said. He does not know what AI programming is, but have been asked more about it recently. I am very certain that the Campbell County and Gillette are going to continue to see growth in population, and we should be prepared to train construction workers and help alleviate this shortage in workforce in housing construction and all construction in general. So very exciting stuff going on.
I know Rusty, a couple of months ago, was around 90% of this particular group of people coming over. So what percent are we now? We still at 90%?
I just know that he had said in our meeting that they were looking at coming to the US and specifically Wyoming. So that's very exciting. I think it was originally down to 2 places, President Overlander, you maybe, and I think it's now us.
I can speak to this from
Okay.
economic development, that they are very, very interested. There are a few power demands and can Like Us Power meet those power demands, just because I'm on the economic development board with Rusty. And so that's some of those things that they're working through. But again, I mean, they took an on-site visit to Georgia and to some of this. So I mean, I think that it's, yes.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. And I thought it was
What was the name of the business?
Mammoth. Project Mammoth is what they're calling it.
It's the name of the company,
It's not
Ellis, is not released, but the project is Project Mammoth. And so.
And I think it's interesting too, they talked about the databases and like some of the databases that Rusty was saying that wanted to go into Texas, for instance, if they would bring their own power. Like, it's just, I mean, we have so much access here for, different resources for companies to come in.
So Josh, Chairman McGrath. Yes, sir. From your standpoint, being a realtor, where we are, would we be with housing and all the infrastructure that would help with these 700 to 1,000 people are gonna come? I mean, have you guys, I'm sure you've kicked that around and.
We have, I mean, obviously, once that project crosses the finish line, I think that's something the city and the county have to address from the perspective of, in private development. I mean, that's where it's gonna come from. I'm not asking the city and the county to go do it. I'm just saying that's, yes. Do we have enough houses for another 700 to 1,000 people right now in Gillette? No, they don't exist. But there are some, you have a new development, some of that's coming. I mean, again, what's exciting from the college perspective is the growth that is going to be needed from this institution to help them. So,
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chair Loxley? Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent report, as always. Very interesting.
Moving on to the Gillette College Foundation, Director Heidi Gross.
Thank you, Chair McGrath, trustees. It's been a very busy fall in the foundation office. First of all, we completed our annual audit about a month earlier this year so we could accommodate filing the college audit early so we could get that approved this month. So we got that done about a month earlier. Our total contributions for last fiscal year was $1,033,376. Total scholarships that we awarded was $286,540. And our total program support was $269,962. And I was asked, what is program support? So what that basically is we have several positions here on campus, one of them being an endowed faculty position, another grant-funded position, those monies are with the foundation and we pay for those. So that's a large part of the program support. We also do some things with Area 59 for that program support, but that's the lion's share of it. During this past month, we got our donor reports produced and sent out to all of those folks that have endowments with us. I also sent our annual appeal to our printer. That'll go out tomorrow. And then our corporate sponsorship flyer, which I started last year, we're getting that changed up for this next fiscal year. Excuse me. And that'll go out in December. Also been very busy working with our campaign council. As I think I've mentioned before, the foundation hired a campaign council to help us with the NZ Center campaign. So I have met with them 3 times now, once virtually, and then Aaron's been here on site twice. And Dr. Oberlander has been very involved in those meetings as well. So right now we are just really focusing on campaign strategy. She's helping me with some ideas for different resources, different policies we should look at. One of the things that we're going to need to take a look at next spring after we have some more information as far as building design that I will need your help with is naming opportunities. So we're going to need to get that figured out next year before we really go into full-blown campaign mode. We'll also need to develop our case for support. Again, the information from the conceptual drawings will really help drive that. So we have a lot that we'll be doing next spring. We'll be setting up an executive campaign committee, lots of work. So we're not in the fundraising stage right now, so to speak. This is just all campaign strategy. However, we have had some high-level conversations with a few very interested donors for this building, but we're really not there yet. Once we do get to campaign mode, then we're going to be in the silent phase. And that's where we will be talking, looking for those lead gifts, major gifts. So it's going to be probably at least a couple years before we go into what you call the public phase, which is where we really engage people here in the public. And those are usually the smaller gifts. You want to raise about 70 or 80% of your campaign goal through your lead gifts and your major gifts before you ever get to that public phase. So very exciting, but it is a long process. This isn't something that we're going to be done with in a year for sure. Also this week, I got some really good news. I had submitted a grant request to the John P. L. Bogan Foundation to set up an endowed scholarship fund that we are going to use to educate paras here and also other people interested in pursuing an education degree. As you probably all know, we have a severe teacher shortage in Wyoming and here in Campbell County for sure. I think the last count I got, well, my goal is to have those all allocated by the end of this fiscal year. We actually have until April 1 of 2026, but I want to get it wrapped up long before then. So as of today, we have committed $648,058 of those funds, and we have $351,942 remaining. So basically 2/3 of that state match money is committed. And if you'll recall, we got the approval quite a while ago that $500,000 of the match would be used for the Enzi building, $500,000 for scholarship and program endowments. So with that in mind, thus far, we have secured $295,000 in gifts for the Enzi campaign that will be matched, leaving $205,000 left. And then as far as scholarships and program endowments, we've matched $468,000 of that with $31,000 left. So we're almost totally done with matching funds for scholarship and program endowments. And then we are currently reaching out to board member prospects. I'm going to have 3 board openings the end of this year. So we're reaching out to some folks we think will be a good fit on our board. And the final thing I wanted to let you know about is we hosted an alumni event at Grinner's in October. And we invited all nursing alumni. And we had a very good turnout. All of the nursing faculty was there, which was great. We had about 25 people there. And so we were really pleased with that event, and we plan on doing something similar to that in the spring. And we'll do that with tech alumni. It's much easier to engage those folks with the 2-year terminal degrees than it is, quite frankly, with our transfer students, because it's very, very well known that most of those students, their affinity is usually with the 4-year institution they got their degree from. And so we're really focusing on nursing and the tech programs right now. So, and with that, I would stand for any questions.
Questions? Yes.
Thank you, Chair McGrath. Thank you, Ms. Gross, for being here, and what a great report.
Thank you.
Curious about, we had talked as a board at one point about trying to get state funding for the NC building. And I don't know if that's something that you're pursuing or that, you know, the administration or both, but curious if there have been further talks about that or if that's sort of waiting for further progress on the building.
Yes, and I will let Dr. Overlander speak to that, because as far as the foundation is concerned, we have not done anything along those lines.
Chair McGrath, Trustee Gee, so that will take members from the Board of Trustees along with myself to go back and approach the legislature. And what will happen in December when we set committees, if not before, we'll have to set a finance committee for the NZ building. And that will be potentially a piece of our strategy. So we'll have to think through that and think about how to approach and what that looks like and what amount we would want to approach with and what the timing is. So hasn't fallen away. It's still in our thoughts and still in part of what does that look like in the whole picture of
And
this
to
new
meet
building.
Renee with the foundation, I'm assuming on their.
Potentially, yeah, for sure. Sure.
Great, thank you.
And
Trustee Paul.
oh, I was just going to mention too, now that we have a grant writing company engaged, that's another opportunity for us too to find funding. You know, that I'll be working very close with Dr. Overlander, and we'll be identifying those grant opportunities. We now have a grant selection committee set up that myself and Dr. Spriggs and Ann are all part of. So we'll be looking for those funding opportunities as well.
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Director Gross, first of all, thank you for the report. Very good information across the board. And I really appreciate your accelerating your audit process so that we can get all this done this month. And Heidi, if there are dollars left from the state, I remember I think the last time there was a matching, that not all the community colleges could come up with a match. Is that an opportunity for us again? Because you've done such a great job in getting us almost to the end. Would there be an opportunity possibly to go after some additional state matching?
Chair McGrath, Chair Palmer, possibly. So when the legislature appropriated those funds for the state match, they actually had a little extra pot of money, and there were a couple community college districts that got right to it, and they've already secured the additional above and beyond the 1 million that each district got. However, you're exactly right. But we probably would not find out about that until April 1 of 2026. So at that time, if there are additional funds available, we should be able to pursue those, because that's how the other state match programs have worked. So I would say absolutely that's a possibility. But I know that there's several other colleges that have already secured those matches. They did it probably the month after they got the money, they were all secured, but I'm not sure where the other colleges are with theirs. But absolutely, I'll make sure to find that out as we get closer to see if there's more funds available. You're welcome.
Other questions?
I guess my question would be, our legislatures, things like support the NC facility, are you sharing all this information so they kind of understand where we're at, where we're going in terms of when we go to legislature, we're gonna need their support if we get their support. So where are we at with that in terms of communication?
Chair McGrath, I'll answer that.
Yes, please.
So Trustee Williams, as you know, we meet with that delegation on a regular basis. And so we'll meet with them again after the Eggs and Issue event in early January, right before the session starts. And so this will certainly be a conversation, one of our conversations that we have with our local delegation. And then, of course, we'd like to meet with them shortly before or right after commencement and after the session concludes. I think once we have additional information on this conceptual design, by the time the session's over, we'll have the conceptual designs done or shortly thereafter. And that makes the talking points so much more easier. There's a state statute that we have to navigate. And so that's a part of the conversation, but that doesn't mean there aren't other ways to pursue state funding. But it's got to be part of the bigger plan, which the finance committee certainly for the NZ building will have to help develop.
Thank you. Good answer. Thank you. Good question. Anything else for Director Gross? Well, thank you very much. Excellent report.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Can we give her a hand?
All right, Student Senate report, Senate President. Try this. Fatuau. We're close?
Yeah.
Fatuau.
Oh, yeah, this, the last name was wrong, but the first name was great. Yeah, so close. You're good. Thank you, trustees, for having me. So for my report, on November 12th, we had a job readiness event where we had a lot of clubs participating, but we didn't kind of get the attendance out we were hoping for, but we got a lot of feedback for when we host it again. We're going to try and do it again in the spring, and maybe more students can utilize it and you see it as an opportunity to help them actually, get career ready. The career closet is gonna start doing a traveling closet. So we purchased this rack. So we can put it in the tech building or the health science building or even the main building every so often. So like every couple of weeks. That way students are familiarized with it and they're more comfortable for taking clothes from the career closet and things like that because it is very full and we really want students to use it. So that's one of our ideas for making that happen. And then a lot of the senators and those on the Student Senate Executive Board all attended the Casper Leadership Conference. I was not able to go attend because I had a volleyball game, but they were able to network with the other colleges in the district, and then they gained some professional development and saw what other colleges were doing, maybe try and implement those ideas here. And they also earned a certificate. I don't know what for, but I'm going to assume it's with leadership. And then there's also a safety on campus. They're developing a winter safety presentation about like driving safe and even walking safe. I don't know. That's what Ashlyn kind of told me. And I was like, that sounds great. Our winter gear drive, it started at the end of October and there's bins in all the buildings around campus, but it'll be ending next Monday. And then we'll be able to donate all the proceeds that we got and maybe help those in need and those who are needing warm clothes because it's getting really cold. Like I'm from the desert and I'm layering every single day. It's something new, but I really like it because I'm bundled at all times. But it's great. So for our general assembly meetings, we're really hoping to raise attendance because I don't know if you've been to one. There's like 5 people there, including the senators, which is okay. But we're gonna start doing a raffle where we're gonna have 2 $25 Walmart gift cards and then free food. Maybe get some people there. We'll see how that goes. We've only did it for one time, but our attendance, we had a couple more people there. But we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from students about all the activities that are on campus. And also that the girl is taking a lot of the feedback through their surveys as well and improving. And that's all I've got. So any questions?
I have one question. So from for donations, do you need any more donations for the professional closet or you feel like you're pretty full? Because you said it was.
It's pretty full, but I mean, donations are always welcome.
And where does one make donations if somebody on the border in a crowd wanted to make donations?
You can bring it to the student senate room or directly to the career closet, but whichever one, just let us know and we can take care of it for you. Yeah.
Where's the student senate office?
Student senate office. Okay.
Main building.
Yes. I don't know that. Yeah. Okay. Main building, staircase,
like right by, as you walk in, straight up by the testing center. It's right across from Ann.
Right, the executive suite, that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Somewhere over, I'm sorry, I don't know the room.
So if anybody
number.
has some, go
Yeah.
through your closet. It's that time as we move into Christmas and you want to make room. Don't forget about the career closet for the college.
This one?
Excellent. Any other questions for Fadwa?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Give her a hand.
We gotta go. Assessment Committee Chair Megan Rourke.
Thank you, Chair McGrath and trustees. I'm Megan Rourke. I am the chair for the assessment committee. And we have been working very hard on setting up the entire assessment system for the district. I like to use visuals, so you guys are gonna have to visualize some things for a minute. If we were to take all of our classes on a board and give all of the students little marbles and they put little marbles in each one of the little classes they took, right? Can you kind of visualize how? We have been working on the classes that would have the most marbles. So the classes with like the tallest peaks would be our general education classes. So classes like Math 1400, Math 1000, English classes, history classes, classes that all students enrolled in the college would have to take. The college is going to be assessing our institutional learning outcomes through the general education classes. So we've been hard at work setting up protocols, identifying which institutional learning outcomes are met in those classes and still utilizing some of the information we have from Northern Wyoming Community College District as well. So that way we don't have to double assess our students. We are finishing up getting that set up. Next semester, faculty members in those classes will be identifying assessments that meet those criteria for those classes. So those are like the tall peaks. Next semester, we will be looking at the mid-level peaks, which would be program learning outcomes. So for all of the classes that each individual student, like the students take in each of the individual programs across their educational experience here, they will have program learning outcomes that they have to meet in those classes. And instructors will be identifying assessments that showcase those program learning outcomes in those classes and identifying those through the assessment committee. And then in the fall, since we're going really fast now, in the fall, hopefully we will be assessing, like actually giving those assessments to students. I mean, we're already giving the assessments, but they're going to be identified. And we will begin data collection in the fall on both the institutional learning outcomes, those assessments in the top peaks, as well as the program learning outcomes, the assessments in those mid-level peaks. So we can begin collecting data. And then part of the assessment progress or process with HLC is to show how we're going to utilize all of that information. And so we are working on setting all of that up, but we have to gather some data first before we can do stuff with it. So that's where we're at in that process of assessment. So any questions, I would be happy to answer.
So first of all, thank you for all the work that you're doing on behalf of the college. So Megan, with all the assessments that you're doing, is this all on software? Is this a particular type of software that you're using for these assessments? And how's that working?
Trustee Palmer, that great question. So we have looked at Helio Campus as a potential software package to use to gather that. We're going to look at Watermark as well. So we're looking at two options. How that would work, those software packages are really nice because then we can put all of the assessments out there for faculty to have access to pull. We can also then put in all of the grades and the stuff from that assessment, however they happen to be graded, whether it's a percentage grade or a scale grade. Those go in that package, and then our institutional research director can just tappity tap, and that's technical terms, tappity tap. But he can pull all that information relatively quickly and efficiently so that the faculty would then have access to it to make decisions within the programs about whether the programs are meeting their program outcomes, if changes need to be made in that, so that we were using that data to drive our decisions rather than, just kind of how we feel. And the same is true for the institutional learning outcomes, to make sure that those outcomes are being met for all of our students and that, they're meeting the things that we have set forth as an institution is important.
Yes, please. Sure. So are you currently, is this how are you generating this data right now? If you're looking at two software packages, is this like an Excel spreadsheet right now then?
Right now, the data is, it goes into Canvas and it's through Sheridan, through NWCCD. And Sheridan shares the data with the powers that be here, and then it comes down to faculty. So the data right now is being currently used in our program reviews when we submit those documents to, from a faculty standpoint, we submit our documents to our deans, and then that goes up through the chain and over to Sheridan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very well. Other questions? Trustee Anderson.
Thank you for all you're doing with this, Megan. I know in the past with curriculum and assessment all being mushed together into one committee, it was easy for assessment to get left behind. So it's exciting to see that we've got an assessment committee and a curriculum committee, and those assessments are going to be paid attention to.
Yes, useful. Thank you, Kristen.
Anything else? Megan, thank you very much.
Great job.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Yes. Participatory governance update, President Overland.
Chair McGrath, trustees, we're very pleased to let you know that as you know, we have a cultural working group as a result of the climate assessment that we did with Dee Stafford and the work with the consultant. Brian Yeager is leading that cultural working group. One of the pieces and one of the recommendations that came up through the cultural working group was to really take a look at the participatory governance structure. And as you heard me mention earlier, when we started this journey, we picked up policy and specifically purposefully moved it over to Gillette Community College District. One of those policies was our governance structure. And we developed what we call district council, and then each employee classification, classified, administrative and faculty each have their own senate, their own council that feeds up to the district council. Well, it's really time to take a look at that. And so does it fit for Gillette Community College District? Is there a purpose for it? Well, yeah, we believe that there is, but is it the right structure? And so Dean Lindsay Wakefeld is leading the participatory governance structure. She's in the process of setting her task force and her team. She has some members and she's rounding that out and really taking a deep dive into how we do participatory governance at Gillette College, looking at our policies, looking at our processes, looking at our practices. And at the end of this academic year, she'll bring forward a recommendation from the task force. It could require some policy change. It could come back that, you know what, it's working for us. Let's keep going forward. But I anticipate there'll be some recommendations from that task force that we'll take a look at and examine at the end of this academic year. It's good timing because, of course, if we have policy change, we can make those changes during the summer and be ready to implement in the fall. What I will tell you, and I know that this board and this board of trustees has been very concerned where we're at with faculty senate. So we've worked very closely with our deans, our academic deans, and certainly, of course, Vice President Spriggs, to really look at how can we get faculty senate back into this fold. And so we'll meet with faculty members from each department who our deans have worked with that either volunteered or were appointed, mostly volunteered. We'll meet with that group in February, or not February, but December 12th, and take a look at their constitution and bylaws. So each department will be represented. I think it's important to publicly recognize Gwen Reed, who is a nursing faculty, who was an elected senator, who has really tried over the summer, who has tried over this the balance of this semester to really keep that group operating and to continue to seek feedback from our faculty. She'll remain, she's part of that group. From Arts and Science, Michael Carver will step back in, as well as Lisa Earhart. And then from the CTE group is Jared Vance. And so I look forward to meeting with that group in December, and then they'll begin again in the spring semester to come back in. So we're pleased with that progress. So with that, any questions on participatory governance and the task force?
So I'd say this, I think that's great news. I think from the board's perspective, we've valued every committee's report, whether it's student senate or faculty or, even back to the assessment committee. I mean, they've been very valuable to this board, and faculty senate is no different. Those folks have to take charge of that. So thank you for you guys, getting people to serve on and know that their opinions are valued up here from this board, as much as anybody else's, but they have to decide that they want to be a part of it and run it. So I appreciate that they're volunteering, maybe sometimes some volatile, like we need, but you need some representation from across your department. So know that this board values that, and we appreciate that we're moving forward with it. So thank you. Any other thoughts or comments on that? All right. Moving on to old business, the approval of the fiscal year 24 audit, President Overlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees, this is really just a formal approval of the fiscal year 24 audit. Certainly Vice President Larson can speak to any questions you have. I think Brittany is joining us from
Correct, she's online.
MHP, there she is, joining us from somewhere in the world, looks like a motel room.
Rock Springs. I'm in the.
Rock Springs.
Yes,
There are no changes to the audit as Brittany presented to you at your last board meeting. I do again want to publicly recognize this process was driven by Vice President Larson and her team in the business office, as well as work with the foundation. They worked diligently to meet the deadlines to hire trustees to have this audit approved in November rather than December. And so with that, I turn it over to Vice President Larson and Brittany, if you have any questions. Otherwise, this.
Is there any questions from the trustees?
I just want to apologize for sneaking out.
Hey, have a great trip.
Flight to catch, so thank you.
I have a motion on the board. Is there a second?
Second.
Sweet. So it's been moved by trustee Palmer and seconded by trustee Anderson to approve the fiscal year 24 budget. Any thoughts or questions on it? Audit, excuse me, budget, excuse me. My apologies. Audit, thank you for the correction.
If I could.
Yes, please.
As the head of the finance committee, I just apologize for being gone at the last meeting, but just want to thank our financial staff for what they do. And to our auditor as well. We've come a long way and it has been uphill. And you all have done a really great job. So thank you. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brittany. Hopefully Rock Springs is as clean as Gillette.
I don't know if anywhere's as great as Gillette, trustee, I'm gonna head Riverton next in my exciting board meeting, so I'll keep it in mind.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eligibility filing update and endorsements. President Overlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees, we spoke quite a bit about this earlier in my report. The eligibility filing, of course, is being prepared to be uploaded. We're seeking your endorsement for this filing. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think you have all the information you need. Thank you, trustee Anderson, for looking through all of that application and providing us with some edits. Dr. Spriggs has those and we'll make sure those are implemented. Otherwise, if you have questions, if not, I'd be happy to take your endorsement for this filing.
I would request a motion to endorse the eligibility filing
So moved.
application. Okay, to the Higher Learning Commission. All right. So it has been moved by trustee Anderson, seconded by trustee Williams to endorse the eligibility filing application to the Higher Learning Commission. Questions, comments?
Again, Mr. I just applaud all of you for the work and effort and diligence and tenacity that you've shown putting all this information together. It's and then to have to move it from one platform to another because the application process changed. Hats off to all of you for doing it, and I applaud your efforts. And as one trustee, I thank you. So thank you.
Well said collectively. I like your tenacity. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Excellent. Board evaluation and retreat. Just a quick update on that. As you know, our retreat is December 5th. I believe all of you have gotten a call from our facilitator, Ken Burke. Anybody not received a call?
I am mine today.
Okay, excellent. Excellent, thank you. Okay. The evaluation went out, everybody filled it out, so thank you for that, and we will go over that at the retreat. I don't think there's anything pressing that we need to discuss at this point in time, so just kind of a quick update on that.
What time does that start, Mr.?
8th. It's at 8:30 with breakfast and going at 9, and then trustee Gee is going to come back at 1 o'clock for our swearing in, so thank you for doing that, coming back.
Chair McGrath, one question, and we can certainly finalize this when we meet with Dr. Burke. We have historically had a dinner after our retreat for those who can make it. However, as you'll learn later, we have a special screening happening the same night. We can move dinner to 6:30, but think about that. If they're interested in doing that, sometimes it's nice to just wrap up at the end of the day. It's entirely up to the trustees, though, what you'd like to do with that.
So if you think about that from the trustees' perspective, I am unavailable. We have our office Christmas party that night, so regardless. If you have it at Prime Rib, I can come say hello, because that's where we are, but you know, I'll be out. So think about that. Let us know if, again, I think it goes both ways. Sometimes you want to just shut it down and go home. Sometimes you want to. Okay, thank you. Next on to new business, the NZ Land closing documents, signature authorization, legal counsel Horning.
Chairman McGrath, trustees, obviously recall the purchase agreement for the NZ lots that you did back in February of 23 now, is required to close under that purchase agreement by December 1st. So the closing is now set for November 26th. And wanted to have a motion authorizing President Overlander and Vice President Larson to take any acts or sign any documents necessary to consummate the transaction. And in your materials, I know you have those closing documents, which are a settlement statement showing the charges to the district. There's a commitment for the title insurance, settlement instructions to the closing agent, statement of consideration for the assessor. And then, of course, there's for your enjoyment, a copy of the warranty deed by which you'll receive title to the lots. And pretty simple, straightforward. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make the motion to authorize and direct President Overlander and Vice President Larson to undertake all acts and to execute all documents in the name of and on behalf of the district as necessary or requested by the closing agent to consummate the agreement for purchase and sale of real property dated February 21st, 2023 by and between the city of Gillette and the district as amended June 18th, 2024 upon its terms.
Excellent, thank you. Second. It was Smith. I heard it out of the left. So it's been moved by trustee Gee and seconded by trustee Smith to authorize and direct President Overlander and Vice President Larson to undertake all acts and to execute all documents in the name of and on behalf of the district as necessary or requested by the closing agent to consummate the agreement for purchase and sale of real property dated February 21st, 2023 by and between the city of Gillette and the district as amended June 18th, 2024 upon its terms. Any questions or thoughts?
Just a thought, Mr. Chairman. I just think it's appropriate that trustee Gee made this motion. It being the longest motion of the board that we've had to date. And this being one of her final acts, that she gets to make the first motion to do this. I think it just signifies her importance to the college.
Questions or thoughts? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Excellent. General education philosophy, Vice President Spriggs.
Chair McGrath, trustees. As we're developing our institution, of course, one of the major things is what do we want our students to get out of coming through Gillette College? And of course, the philosophy in regards to our general education, which will eventually land to a general education program, is what you have in front of you, okay? And I just want to go through briefly as to how it came about and how it was developed. As we do know, during our interview process with HLC, that was one of the things also where They noted that we have to start refining our own general education program and as we're moving away from NWCCD. So this past September, we began to examine the philosophy, which is the foundation. We then, curriculum is simultaneously working on what are the categories and the courses within. As you heard Megan talk about the general ed program, this is pretty much the foundation of the program. So in September, we developed what I would call 3 basic philosophy statements through a meta-analysis of like institutions. The deans then were encouraged to consider these 3 possible philosophies. They went back, they spoke with their faculty, came back as to this is the draft that we think is best representing the institution and where we want to go with Gillette College. In addition, as part of eligibility filing number 6, if you can recall the educational programs, that is one of the questions also. So unanimously, it was draft number 2, I believe it was, that we actually examined. We then, of course, really aligned it with our institutional learning outcomes in regards to how we can come about ensuring that every student, regardless of the program they're in, AAS, where you only have 15 credits of general education, your ASs as well as your AAs, how can we ensure, and what are the most important things for students to really learn as they're moving through this institution to obtain their degree? So the philosophy that you have in front of you will be the foundation in order for us to build our categories in regards to that general education program that leads to our institutional learning outcomes. So the verbiage that you may see in there is consistent with our expectations for every student in regards to communication, scientific and quantitative reasoning, critical and creative thinking. Those basic things is something that every student will actually have the opportunity to obtain as they go through any program. Our program learning outcomes will add to that, add more value to that as we move forward. So in brief, any questions? What do you think there? Huh? Go ahead.
Thank you. I just had a couple of proposed edits to it. I get the point of it. I think it's well done. Near the end where it says graduates will acquire skills and knowledge, I would just say to prepare for their careers. And then on that same line where it says how to use information, I would say how to access and use information. I felt like teaching students how to access information in today's age is probably just as important as using it. I thought it was really well done. Thank you.
Other thoughts?
If that's acceptable to you, Mr. Spriggs, and the board, I would make a motion to have the first reading approved with those edits. I don't want to step on your toes, so.
That's acceptable. The meaning's still there and it actually gives credence to the steps that are necessary in order to be able to use the information.
Yeah.
Actually.
So I move to approve with those edits on the first reading.
So it has been moved by trustee Gee and seconded by trustee Palmer to approve the Gillette College's general education philosophy with the edits proposed. Any other comments or questions? That's more. Thank you. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Bob wants to clap.
It is.
All right. Moving on to the Road and Bridge lease agreement of Dean Travis Grubb.
Chair McGrath, trustees. As you recall, we were awarded Wyoming Innovation Partnership funding a couple years back. With that funding, we've established a brand new division called the Workforce and Community Development Program. And a big part of that program was to establish a CDL program here at Gillette College. That program was launched in June. It is currently in full swing. We've graduated quite a few students through that program. And one of the key things that was missing with our program was a site to operate the program on. So through multiple conversations with the county commissioners and local college administration, we identified a property that the county wasn't fully utilizing and requested use of that property. That property is the old road and bridge facility out on 4J. And in your document, you'll notice there's a couple of exhibits. I think the easiest way to speak to this is to look at Exhibit B. Exhibit B outlines in red the entire property that the college would be accessing to operate the vehicles on. So it's a pretty large plot of land, give or take 11 acres, that we would have access to, practice maneuvers, backing maneuvers. We would actually be able to stripe a area where we would be able to practice the test procedures in order to test out our students. It also allows, we would actually be leasing a portion of a building. It's highlighted in blue if you have a colored copy. That portion is pretty much shop space with some little bit of office space, but that allows us to do inside vehicle inspection work, allows us to park equipment, maybe do some light vehicle maintenance and things of that nature. So I do want to give a really large shout out and thank you to Mr. Horning for all of his hard work in drafting the lease agreement. I believe you have the signed version from the county commissioners in front of you. So with that, if there's any questions regarding that lease agreement, I would be happy to answer them, or we also have legal counsel here.
Questions for Dean Grubb?
I have, are we gonna put a sign up there that identifies that, this property is, now part of it is, our property, college property? And is there any way that we can, to some degree, beautify that in terms of, because the county didn't beautify it. It's just a big, huge patch of cement, but plus the building's way back there. I don't know if that's a good question for now, but anyway.
Chair McGrath.
Please.
Trustee Williams, I want to clarify, we don't own the building. We're not purchasing the building. We're leasing a portion of that facility. Dean Grubb will work with our marketing department to get some branding up. But as far as the beautification of that corner, that would not be within our purview. We can certainly visit with the county to see if we can work in partnership and to beautify that area, but that property will remain owned by the county. But we'll brand that portion of the building. I do also want to mention that the partners that we've worked closely with, the sheriff's department has a portion of that building, as does, and I might say it wrong, the VFW. Lee Yate is part of that group that we have worked and have had conversation with, because we want to be good partners. We want to make sure that they can continue their piece and that the sheriff's department's property is secured. And so Travis is also in communication with those folks. The other piece that I think is really important is, of course, there's a fueling site on this property, and the county actually offered to allow us to fuel there on that site. We'll pay for that fuel, but it will help get fuel through their tanks more often, and it'll help us as well with easier fueling. Did I miss anything, Dean Grubb?
Yeah, and right off the bat, we will be parking our CDL simulator trailer right where it's visible. So that'll be instantaneous. I mean, that'll be there, a little more visible than where we currently have it parked here. But then, yeah, plans are to get some signage up and yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Dean Gross, thank you. Great work on getting this done and done quickly. It talked about a base rate, but I guess I did. What's the actual lease cost, or what are we paying to use this property?
Yeah, so the cost of the lease is really just a 1/4 of the total utilities for the site.
Okay.
Yes, and it's for 5 years, I believe.
I saw the term, but I just wasn't quite sure what that expense was. And then also the access, and I appreciate the president, because I know there's still a fuel farm on there. And so utilizing that's going to be a great asset as well.
It will be a great asset, absolutely. Simplify the process and likely have a reduced rate for fuel.
The county does have a reduced rate for fuel, so that's great that we can take advantage of that. So. Thank
Any
you,
other
Mr. Chairman.
questions? The only thing I would clarify, I think it's Yake with a K.
Yes, I'm sorry. Lee is a fabulous partner
Yes.
for our veterans here on Gillette College campus. So thank you for that clarification.
So having said that, I would request a motion to approve the lease agreement between Campbell County for the usage of the Road and Bridge building and the premises for the Gillette College Commercial Driver's License Program. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Palmer and seconded by trustee Anderson to approve the lease agreement between Campbell County for the usage of the Road and Bridge building and premises for Gillette College Commercial Driver's License Program. Questions or thoughts? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Do we give Dean Grove?
Yeah.
Okay, nominations committee, that came out and this, I gotta find it again. This was, last year's, the nomination committee was trustee Palmer, Anderson and Smith. This year I was going to ask, I would be a part of it myself, and if trustee Anderson and Smith would remain to give trustee Palmer a little reprieve. Are you two interested in that?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. I will, the rest of the committee membership, we will revise, I think, next month, especially once elected Day joins us and we move him into some committees and remove our friend trustee Gee. So any questions on that or thoughts?
I just have a friendly reminder that when the treasurer role is filled, there's a bond that's required. And I shared that with the finance committee, but just so you don't forget.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Committee reports, WACT.
I'll let you go.
Chair
You talk to him more than I.
Chair McGrath, trustees. So as you know, we're ramping up for the legislative session. The presidents continue to meet and still work through and as much as we can at this point, understand what's coming forward in the legislative session. Erin Taylor will be joining us in January for the eggs and issues. Before then, she typically puts out the WACT legislative platform. So I'll look forward to sharing that with you when it comes out, of course. There will be a lot. This is a long session. My week is the second full week of the session, the week of Martin Luther King Day. So that's when I will be down. President Tyndall, who is considered the president of the president represents us, was kind enough to let me pick my week. Because as you may or may not be aware, I have a grandbaby in February. So he allowed me to pick my first week, but there are 8 weeks in the session, so each president takes a week. But we'll certainly be ready to monitor and provide all the legislative updates and meeting links that you'll need to navigate that session. But lots of work ahead of us down in Cheyenne. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or seek answers that I may not be able to answer at this point.
Any questions? Moving on to the art committee.
Well, since trustee wasn't doing this, she's doing this, I'll do this. As you recall, I don't know when it was, last spring, I guess, we talked about trustees donating to create artwork for this wall in the boardroom. Trustee Wasserberger, trustee Smith and I were the art committee. We contacted several local artists. We felt that we wanted the art to represent Gillette College. We hoped that it would include the bridge. Joan Sawada, who does fabric art, has submitted a proposal. I will add that after we had contacted, I think 5 different artists, we discovered that Ava does have a program where you're interested in commissioning something, you can fill out a form and then they send that to various artists. We were not aware of that at the time. Joan Sawada has presented a proposal to us And I guess the question that we have is, as trustees, this is the money that we donated to the foundation. This is not coming from the college budget. Do we want to go ahead and consider Joan's proposal, or do we want to send it out to even more artists? As the committee who kind of felt sticking in this one was good.
We had, we had, what, 3 or 4 solid ones, and then it just became a time commitment. And then I don't know if the process that we skipped influenced some of them, I don't know. Okay, this is the one that has stuck with us.
Yeah. So there are 3 photos on page. The bottom photo of the bridge came from Donkey Creek Festival at some point. Joan came to campus and took those other photos. She proposes doing a triptych of 3 different art quilts that will fill this space. You can see in the white photo, sort of the design that she sees, and then how the sizes are and how they would fit in the space. She proposes to follow the images closely, but not exactly. She'll remove the garbage can, put leaves on trees, maybe change colors of clothing. And she would do this for $2,700, with half of it being paid up front. We contributed more than that to the foundation to go towards this artwork. So I don't.
So, Mr. Chairman, I first of all, appreciate the work the committee has done. Nice work, and appreciate this one as, renderings for our consideration. I like the idea of I call it tapestries, but quilts. I think that's a nice touch. And I would suggest that the art committee stay stay together, because we're gonna have a new building. That new building's gonna have to have. And now that you know that Ava will take commissions, I think it's an opportunity to go back again at some point to them and commission for additional art. I really like the idea of local artists being utilized to provide a canvas, if you will, of our community for all of us to celebrate. And so with that, I guess I would suggest that we proceed with what the art committee is proposing.
I like that the art committee took the time to do this. I guess I had envisioned something more, I don't know how to put this, stronger for this space, because we're in an industrial building, and I guess I would like to see something that reflects the building more than what I see in this personally.
One of the reasons that we did not focus specifically on this building is that there's always the possibility the board would move to the NC Center.
Sure, I understand. And that makes sense to me. I still, even if it's in the NZ Center, I guess I would like to see something that reflects a bit of the industrial nature of our. I mean, I realize that's not all we do at this college, but I think it's a strong component of it. So that's my personal opinion. I'm not on the committee. Happy with whatever the board decides to do, but my preference would be to see something a little stronger in nature. And I see the quilts as a softer approach, so.
Chair McGrath, trustees, the only thing I would add is I don't believe we have any fabric type of art on campus. I think it's either paintings, photos. There's no other type of artwork like this. We certainly could give Joan some other photos maybe to take a look at, but it's up to the pleasure of the board.
Chairman, we went into this as there are other artists on campus that we tried to stay away from metal work, tried to stay away from photography for a reason. And we're open to any suggestions, but we did intentionally stay away from metal and photography.
I'll just offer a counterpoint. It's very obvious we're in an industrial building. You just have to look up to the ceiling to see that. I think this brings the overall college into this room. Not just this building, but all of the campus with the bridge. It certainly highlights the tech center, but it also highlights the rest of the college. I think there'll be opportunities for additional artwork. Have been and will continue to be. I still support what the committee has brought.
Any other comments? Yeah, I mean, if we're offering opinions, I'm not huge on quilts. I don't have any of them in my house. That's just a personal thing, but I'll go with what the board's pleasure. I appreciate their work. I'm not opposed to it. It's just not my. But again, if we pulled everybody in this room, they're all gonna have a different opinion. So I'm willing to move forward here. So.
I would say this, Mr. Chairman, I think if we're gonna have these quilts or tapestries, I think you have to take precautions with preserving them. They can't be out in the open. They have to be behind some kind of glass or something that protects them for the long term. And I like the additional variety or I guess diversity of the type of art that we're offering. This isn't like what we have in the Pronghorn Center, which the state required that we have certain pieces of art. This is different. We have ironwork in the Pronghorn Center. We have photographs throughout our buildings. I like what Trustees said is that this is something different that brings another element of I'll just use this, of the fabric of our district to this room. And this may stay in this room. It may come with us if this boardroom were to change. I think there's going to be opportunities for additional artists to step forward. I hope that additional artists will step forward and hopefully be recognized with having their art displayed on the college campus.
The picture of the left, the one thing that catches my eye, right off the back, are the shadows of the fence.
Yes.
I was thinking that's a walking path. You know, that's a community walking path. And instead of, I guess you could still have the shadows, but could we have maybe a couple little kids riding their bikes or moms and dads walking?
We can certainly, if that's adding for some.
And that's what catches my eye, the shadows from the fence. And the fence is crooked. That's a but that was my thought. You know, maybe we could put some personality in there with
Sure.
people, bicycle.
I'll leave that up to the discretion of the committee. So are you looking for action here? Is that what we're doing, or are we just giving a, hey, thanks?
If it's okay with the committee, we would like to be able to ask Joan to go ahead with this
I
and
think Joan would like to know.
ask the foundation to hang it.
So moved.
Second. Okay, it's been moved by trustee Williams and seconded by trustee Palmer to move forward the renderings from the art committee. Any other discussion?
I would just like to thank Tracy and Terry for, especially Terry, she did all the footwork on Joan, so thank you.
All done. Thanks. Other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, none? Okay. Carries. Other comments? I do not see anybody written down. Is there anybody in the public that would like to come forward and say anything? Okay,
I have a comment.
yes.
I would like to notice that on the agenda, all comments were scheduled for 1:40 and it is now 1:19. Trustees last meeting that we are finishing early.
And with everything on there,
Well
Josh,
noted.
great job.
And with saying that, I would like to, I'll first off just present, this is a gift from the college to you, trustee B, on behalf of your service to this institution. May you
Light the
Display,
world.
yeah. Well, I was going to say display it, light your desk like you've lit our board,
Oh,
and we
thanks.
appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
So we'll give this to you, and I will go around the room, around the board anyway, for any comments that you guys would like to say.
Well, I would like to thank Trustee Yee for her expertise in lots of areas that have helped us move forward in ways that we might not have done quite as well without her guidance.
Well, I would second that, but then I had Trustee Gee in a planetarium as assistant. And I listened to her then. And I'm still listening to her. And this community will always listen to her because she's such a positive lady. She's got such great vision. And I still understand how she can do all the things she does. And she has kids. And you're an amazing lady. You always have been. So you must have been in books.
Probably because you taught me.
Thank you for all you've done. You've been tremendous.
I would just add, I appreciate you bringing Terry and I on so quickly and making us feel part of the board.
Wow. MOU committee? You know, Allison, I can't thank you enough for all that you've done. And the things that we see, but the things that we don't see that you do. You've been a strong advocate for this district, a strong advocate for this board. As Trustee Anderson said, your expertise knows no bounds. And I think the lamp is a perfect because you've illuminated our world and you'll continue to do that. So thank you.
Oh, Trustee Gee, Magistrate Gee, Attorney Gee, Board Member Gee, I'm trying to think back to when we first met, when you began your bid for the first Board of Trustees and the work that commenced thereafter and that first meeting, those first meetings, working with Tony Bell to set up our books, to get our employee identification number. I mean, so many things had to happen at that very beginning that a lot of people don't know that you really were behind getting set up, not for me, but for this district and for our students and for all the employees who came after me. And so the light just is the perfect departing gift because you have lit the way for so many people at this community college district, but you've also lit the way for women in leadership. And it's such a powerful voice that you have brought not only to our board, but to this community and to our state. And so thank you for everything you've done, not only for me, but for those who are going to follow in your footsteps. You are a great mentor, you are a great role model, and we are so fortunate to have you in our community. So thank you for all that you do for us.
I would close, I can't add much more than what they've done, but it started with, coming on together and then the MOU committee and the huge number of meetings that we had. I mean, and
Everywhere.
everywhere, everything. But I appreciate your perspective on our college, your willingness to voice that perspective, whether it's mainly in defense when we've had to have tough conversations with another district or with people in the community. But you've been a special part of this board and it should forever be recognized.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not good at having this attention on me, but thank you all. And, what a great team we've had. So thanks for letting me be a part of it. Okay.
Do we want to finish out and then we can?
But we have to take a picture with the link.
Say I am just so proud of all of the work that the staff and faculty and administration have done, and just really proud to have been a part of this. So thanks.
You'll always be a part of history. You will always be part of it.
And no offense to the gentleman in the corner, but I'm the first one to leave alive, which I'm grateful for. I know. So hopefully this is the new trend.
I appreciate the levity of which you've just brought
Only you could say that.
I hope he's not talking about Roger. I mean, that's.
I want to leave it.
Yeah, I'm trying to set a new trend for this board. Yeah. Yeah, and one of the acts I'm also proud of is finding and hiring Mr. Horning. So for all the lawyers don't get much recognition, but grateful for the work he does as well.
It's very gracious, yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other public comment that anybody has? Upcoming events, November 27th through the 29th, Thanksgiving break. Please enjoy your Thanksgiving break. Staff, faculty, staff, administration, everybody, enjoy that. As I know you have a heavy lift right after that. With finals, starting with finals, yeah, all those things. December 3rd is the Christmas at the College, 4:30 to 6 at the Tech Center. That's an exciting day. December 5th, you have, the trustees have a sheet. It's a special screening of A State of Mind, A Miner's Light, Wyoming PBS. And I at least watched, and I can forward this out to the trustees, but there is a trailer and it's very well done. And it is in regard to the stresses that the mineral industry faces when you're constantly under duress of we need to eliminate your job. And we need to eliminate your job because coal should go away or oil's bad or natural gas. I mean, all the things. And Brian Edwards, who's a counselor in town, did a main part of it. There's a lot of times videos are done about Gillette and they are atrocious at best. This, at least, I don't know if anybody's already screened it, but at least what I saw looks to be really well done. And it's going to be December 5th, 5:30 in Presentation Hall. So if any of you would like to come, I think it could be a wonderful experience. It is the night of our retreat. So anyway,
The only thing I would add to that is Marcy Conley, who was our counselor here at
Yes.
Gillette Community College District, was instrumental in working with PBS to bring this to campus. She took that on and we're just pleased to be able, and Mrs. Enzi is on the board of Wyoming Public Broadcasting. So we're very happy that we can have this here on campus.
and PBS mentioned that what a great partnership it was with Marcy. So thank you for that. I should have brought that up. December 24th through the 1st will be winter break and the campus will be closed. I think that is all I have.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to add one more.
Okay.
It's February 15th, hard to say 2025. That is the evening of the rodeo sponsorship banquet at Camplex. They'll be starting to sell tables and seats soon. The committee has met. Casey Ray is in charge, so we're good.
Tomorrow night is the scholarship. Oh, scholarship. night.
Yes.
That's right.
Scholarship dinner tomorrow night. Anything else that we need to bring forth? I would request a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Me.
Okay, Smith. All right. Meeting adjourned. Have a great week. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Well done.
Maggie, will you come and take a picture? Because we have to have a picture.
Sure, that's what we did.
100%.
Don't forget your land.
You want the land?
One time, John.
I don't think so.
One time.